Great news, Charlie. All of a sudden, it looks as if Chelsea has some solid news. Excuse the fact that I need to shave. I look really horrible, pal. Of course, nobody cares about that. There are lots of things to talk about, lots of sports to talk about. But of course, I need to go and make sure I get a shave. I'll come back with some clean shave very soon. So anyway, I'll look very clean. My face looks very bushy. But then again, a lot of football conversation about because your name was and Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel and subscribe to the channel, turn on notification turning, which is all. The quotes are still in going there, some booming, going through a lot. If you've not taken them, go into the description of the video, see if some of the games are still there. Pick them up and give yourself a big chance of winning something that was on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. This is the best football tactical analysis channel. We'll give you the best in terms of analysis. I was on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notification. In the notification turn, Michelle, do choose all just so anytime there's content here. You are first to have a tier on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. There's a lot to unpack for you. There's a lot to talk about for you. There's a lot to delve into, and there's a lot to really go down. I was on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. But let me say a big thank you to my man, Yesumo Spare Parts Dealership Shop. Chromasi. The best place for car spare parts, Yesumo. He is the best guy in terms of delivering car spare parts jobs for you, Yesumo. Or Accra, Abose Okain, Post Office. Yesumo. Or you're solid in that regard. Getting you the best spare parts for you to do your job. Charlie, Yesumo na beya. If it's no Yesumo, I don't know who can give you those solid spare parts in our car for you to go on and do your job. Of course, away from Yesumo, MOB clothing. Charlie, I've said it several times. If it is really about top level in Tadi Albeshe for wherever that you want to go, then it's MOB clothing. But before that, my Yesumo number, he does the nationwide delivery. What it means is that anywhere you are in the country, baby, I will chromasi, even in some neighboring countries, Yesumo does the delivery to those places. Fredo, on 059 313 8221. 059 313 8221. Yesumo befa. No, we deliver on your money in our mouth. Now why sorted. Whatever vehicle that you are using. Of course, my man, AMOB clothing. If it's about retailing of selco, open baby, I fantadi and we to tonwa, Kumasi, Cape Coast, Stakradi, where have you, then MOB clothing is the place that you have to go to. MOB clothing, one of the best places that you can get your clothes. So about taking care of things so you know MOB clothing does it best for you. Michelle, and also the Aflau station, Tudu, Aflau station, Tudu, friend on 0200 668 708. 0200 668 708. Nabibia and kama pap. There is good news from the camp of Chelsea. I don't think that Chelsea fans expected, say, Ombenyasa good news. But the way the news is coming, it's solid, and I need to bring you up to speed with it. It is one of the best news that Chelsea have managed to get. It is essentially the best set of news that anybody is going to get at Chelsea Football Club. They had been pushing and hoping, says our news, but of course, it didn't happen. And all of a sudden, Chelsea are beginning to get things done, and we'll see how things are going to go on from there. We need to have a lot of conversation. Of course, we'll see how things are going to go on from there. Enzo Maresca has spoken to the Chelsea website when the plans why he took certain decisions. But there's a Chelsea player who is there in terms of back from injury. Enye Kopama, Enye Romeo Lavia, Enye Benoit Belashili. I'll tell you about this guy who is back from injury and the latest injury updates from Chelsea Football Club and how things are going to go in the right direction for them. We'll see all of those conversations. I say on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. But you will remove the common because there is more updates on the camp of Chelsea Football Club. And of course, Enzo Maresca and what he wants to do when the boys don't. Anyhow, the players are coming back. And I bring your friend Malo Ghost to have spoken about your friend Garnacho. See, I've seen people talk about Garnacho. People are saying that Garnacho is probably part of the top signings of the season. Let me see, hey, then I've underrated Alejandro Garnacho power because I remember when Alejandro Garnacho, Andy Moka said, oh, boss Garnacho, your top player, you're fanning Brad Chelsea, and I'm how is Alejandro Garnacho a top player? I personally, I was not enthused. In fact, everybody that listens to me here knows that I'm not enthused about Garnacho, knows I'm not enthused about Pedro Neto, but it looks as if these are the two players that people are really giving credit for. So maybe I need to revise my notes and then go back and then be much more enthused about the work that these guys are doing, especially for Pedro Neto. I think that Pedro Neto's returns also other attackers about Premier League game, not just this season, but it's a Pedro Neto. One thing that's very important is the durability, because when Chelsea are buying Pedro Neto, almost every Chelsea fan was very, very worried about the fitness level of Abrante and Pedro Neto. People were worried that now Pedro Neto, is he fit enough? Can he play consistently? Because when he was at Wolverhampton Wanderers, almost every time now Pedro Neto April. So how are Chelsea going to manage to get Pedro Neto to be fit to play consistently in the games that he wants to play in? But all of a sudden, Pedro joined Chelsea Football Club and he has been very, very fit. In fact, he has gone a whole season playing a lot of games. He has started season being playing a lot of games. And just a couple of days ago, international break we are, and yet says we are Portugal for national team camp. Now catch up. So I said some small going injury, but into a person managing it. And I think that Chelsea are managing the injuries very, very well. It's the same thing that they've done with Abrante for the Reece James, where like today Enzo Maresca spoke about Reece James injury situation and the fitness situation in San Emmanuel. And for me, that makes a lot of sense. In fact, apparently, the physios and doctors have told Reece James to make sure that he is in tune with his body. Essentially, so no Reece James the feeling say wa bra unta so no kwata ne baby. And my name is stressing on. So no Reece James the feeling say he feels something that probably may lead to an injury. He should tell the team not to play him. And that is why Oshe the last international break I want call England national team duty. And of course, okay, in the Club World Cup, one of the games before we started, you say Reece pull it out. But of course, essentially, he wasn't injured. It was just precautionary for Abrante friend Reece James or him. So I like the fact that Chelsea for now managing Abrante friend Orlando Garnacho. And people are saying that he's one of the most informed players or him, which is a very good one. This is what Malo Gusto said about Abrante friend Orlando Garnacho. I say he's a top guy, like every player here. He works a lot as well. So he's a great guy, very competitive, and he helps us a lot. So I'm very happy with this type of player. Then, of course, Malo Gusto goes on Orlando Garnacho. Say he has a lot of qualities as a winger. He is able to bring our team into their box, which is the part of the plan for us. Asking the wingers to do these kind of things, dribble, of course, and then create chances. That's what he did. Helped us with a lot of crosses. So it's very good. And I think that Orlando Garnacho has brought a different dynamics, a different dimension to Enzo Maresca's attack. I think that last season, Chelsea did not have good crosses. In fact, probably, especially on the left, Chelsea did not have Jadon Sancho as a good crosser. You can't call Jadon as a specialist crosser. Jadon essentially is a creative player inside with the pulsar. He comes down. You need somebody to come and combine with him, and he underlaps most of the times with that nimble-footedness. Orlando Garnacho can keep the weight. He's a runner one. First, and I think the first trait of Orlando Garnacho is that he is a kind of winger that will play under team that probably don't have load to the ball. You sit back, then you play the ball into the space for him. He will win the ball and then create a chance and make something happen. But in all of that, in this team that Enzo Maresca set up in that strict positional 4-3-3 system, what Enzo Maresca is getting from Orlando Garnacho is once Garnacho keeps the width, he's able to whip in a lot of crosses. And it is literally the same with our branch friend Pedro Neto on the right-hand side. So Orlando Garnacho is putting in crosses on the left-hand side. Then Pedro Neto is putting in crosses from the right-hand side. What it means is that, and both of them, it's as if Maresca has told them, say, all of the crosses should go to the far post. It's Garnacho to the box, no, the cross net to box. It is for Pedro Neto to attack it in the far post, the pass to the opposite winger. If Pedro Neto to the pass, no, the cross no, from wide area, he throws it to the far post as well. And for me, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. That creates a lot of good stuff in terms of how they want things to be done, which is very good. Which is very, very good in terms of how people want to create their chances, play their football, make things happen. It's very, very important when it comes to how they want to do their things. The quality of play, the style of play, how they play their football. It's one of the best things that you can get. And I think that has brought a different dynamic, a different dimension, a different way to how Chelsea is able to create attacks, sustain the attack, and create quality chances, especially from the parts of Abrantia, your friend Alejandro Garnacho, and Abrantia, your friend Pedro Neto, also as the main wingers of Chelsea Football Club. Now you look at someone like Estevao Willian is the dribbler that will go to the byline and cuts back. So it's not static, it's not one way, it's more diverse, it's more multifaceted in terms of creating chances in that area and for team your friend Chelsea Football Club. Something that I think it's a very, very good thing, to be able to do for Chelsea Forum from the attacking point of view and the attacking perspective, it's very, very important. Of course, Uti the conversation, and Enzo Maresca spoke to Chelsea Football Club, and he had a big conversation around the team, the young squad. People still keep on asking, say, as a Chelsea team, you're too young. As a Chelsea team, where the ABI do not be able to win anything. I think that people are accepting. The last time when I heard say Jamie Carragher was saying that Abrantia friend Enzo Maresca is a top tactician, I said, oh, pinch me, because I thought I was dreaming. Because really, I didn't think there was a time where Jamie Carragher was going to accept that Maresca is a top brain. But he is brilliant in terms of managing of everything. Yes, like every one of us in our day jobs, we make mistakes. And of course, Enzo Maresca makes some mistakes as well. And that's why sometimes I want to cut him some slack. But in all of that, you can tell that there's a coach that understands what he wants to do now. Maresca spoke about his young players now. About a young Chelsea squad. No, see, the most important thing, no matter the age, is that they are good players. And for sure, when they are young, you have to give them the chance to make some mistake to be better. The mistake is part of the process. But no doubt that they are going to be always better and better. I really think that the manager is here to service the players to make them better. And this is my target, to be honest. According to him, it's targets to make the players better. And to be very honest, if you're able to make your players better, you get better. So now, this is where they asked him to Maresca about, say, hey, how have you managed the Reece James conversation? Now, Reece, there are more Otimi book games consistently, and there are no issues in recent times. Before, almost every other fortnight, a certain Reece James was going off injured. What's going on? And then Maresca comes in. Maresca said, personally, I think it's in a little of the way that we use him. I've said this thing several times. That there were times where people will come to my DMs and come and watch the show and say that Afi, I didn't think Enzo Maresca on Reece like a normal fullback or Manenko up and down the touch. And I keep on saying that it's a muscle injury. Anybody with any little idea about what muscle injuries do or what they can do, I mean, it causes issues like this. What you have to do is to make sure that you manage the muscle injuries. You manage it and manage it better. And that's exactly what Abrantia, your friend Enzo Maresca, is doing with Abrantia, your friend Reece James. Man, of course, you went on. Maresca said, personally, I think it's in a little bit in the way we use him. Because playing as a midfielder or fullback who goes inside, it's always a short distance in terms of the runs. While when he plays as a fullback up and down, it's huge distances. It's a big distance. You have to cover more on the pitch. And I guess that probably they also can get injured easier. That is what Maresca said about the fitness issue of our brand here friend Reece James and what he comes with, which is very positive in my opinion in terms of the fact that you need Reece James to cover shorter distances, because if you let him go up and down the touchline, you are probably going to make a lot of mistakes, which is no good. Now, Enzo Maresca was asked about Moises Caicedo, who had won Chelsea's Player of the Month for 2 times in a row. I mean, Caicedo's performances now can't go under the radar. He is rather brilliant. He is exceptional in terms of what you want from Moises Caicedo, the kind of football I want to play, being the best that they can be in the midfield, on the ball, off the ball, creative ability, all of those things that you need from him, receiving the ball in the first phase, turning out of trouble, being the best player in the middle of the back, the best DM, the hunter of the ball. I mean, first phase, second phase, third phase, even goal scoring. It tells you the quality of our brand here, friend Moises Caicedo. Now, the way the team tries to work off the ball, he tries to press. The goal we scored against Tottenham, he was pressing inside the box, because it's the way we try to press. High pressing. Reaction when we lose the ball, immediately he's doing fantastic. And I think that sums it all for Moises Caicedo. The goal that Chelsea scored against team your friend of Tottenham Hotspur in that game was classical Moises Caicedo. Counter press, high press, reaction, win the ball, turn it over. that quality from my branch friend Moses Caicedo made all the difference for them. And that's exactly what they don't be some Enzo Maresca say. I mean, about the team and not on the constantly he's learning. He's trying to adapt to new methods. He's trying to change the way he does his things because they are very, very important for him to be a top manager and to be a top coach. And he'll be able to get results for his team. In training, all of the Chelsea boys were there. Liam Delap, Tosin Adrabiayo, Jarrell Hato, my brand here friend Facundo Buonanotte, my brand here friend Wesley Fofana. All of them were there, especially the boys who could not go out for the international break and were all representing games now at Chelsea training their course, which is huge. Chelsea needs to make sure they get all their boys in check, all their boys are in, and they are in to come and deliver and then play some good football. So things are going to go on from there. What we heard is that there is a confidential information on the injury and recovery of our brand here, your friend Levi Colwill. Now, what we've heard in the last few hours, and it's a brand here, friend Levi Colwill, the recovery, is going cleanly according to plan. Now, what we're seeing here, Levi Colwill is going to return earlier than expected. Now, he was expected to come back in April, May, thereabout. But what we are hearing is that Levi Colwill may come back as early as January. That is going to be a huge boost because the year has already ended. We are going to go into 2026, God willing. Once we get there, if Chelsea are able to get their best build-up centre back, I mean, their best overall centre back in our brand here, friend Levi Colwill, that is going to be really huge for them. Somebody that understands the rudiments of the game when you're building up from the back. Somebody that understands and loves to defend, especially more front-footedness in terms of defending. Somebody that understands in terms of stepping up to opponents, winning duels, and then, of course, turning over possession. It's important for you to have a bench here friend in Levi Colwill. And the confidential news understands that Chelsea's Levi Colwill's recovery is going according to plan perfectly. He suffered no setbacks and has now been off crutches for more than a month. He remains on target in his rehab. Hopefully, before things will end, especially maybe even as the year ends now, Chelsea are likely to see a brand here, your friend or Levi Colwill for him to come in and then come and deliver. Chelsea wants to remember brand your friend Moses Caicedo a contract offer, huge contract offer, to say thank you to him for the job that he has been able to do at Chelsea Football Club. Something that is very, very important. So meet me the man, a brand your friend Moses Caicedo a contract offer. So bebem no being more money. I think that Caicedo has done an excellent job at Chelsea and he deserves all the credits that he can get. If you want to give somebody in that Chelsea team credit for doing a good job, himself and Enzo Fernandez, I think that Enzo Fernandez deserves a lot of credit as well for a player that joined Chelsea at their lowest, somebody who had won the World Cup before coming to Chelsea, picking the club and deciding to fight it through with everything. Enzo Fernandez showed that he's a top player, and I think that one of those players that after Brent your friend Moses Caicedo, Chelsea have to give him a contract extension. Enzo Fernandez as well. There is Brent friend Rafinha, who is back in training for Football Club Barcelona. Good news because Barca have missed Brent friend Rafinha. Because imagine if in the very long time Barca have won games and there is no Rafinha in them. Imagine what would it have been. He is one of the most important players for Football Club Barcelona. He is one of the most important players for Football Club Barcelona. Everything that Barca needs somebody to do is being done by Brent friend Rafinha. I said the last time that in terms of that athleticism, somebody that runs the channels, that is very energetic, that is very physical and combative and gets the job done. Brent friend Rafinha makes all of that difference. And you go in there and says it would be difficult for Barcelona to let Robert Lewandowski leave in January due to financial fair play issues. Of course, Barca cannot bring in another attacker in January. In January, they can't let Robert Lewandowski go. What we are expecting, and he said, by the end of the season, Barca are going to do an evaluation of the contract of our brand friend Robert Lewandowski. Now, the big question is that we are Barcelona. Do you think Robert Lewandowski should stay, or in the summer it's time for Football Club Barcelona to move on from our brand friend Robert Lewandowski? Is it time for Football Club Barcelona to understand and accept that Robert Lewandowski is probably aged, and in as much as he's getting good? Because the last time in the game at Barcelona and Elche, boy, Robert Lewandowski had a hat-trick. He scored the most goals for Barcelona. In the absence of Rafinha, in the uncertain form of our brand friend Lamine Yamal, Iban Nazraoui, the main guy in that Barcelona team, your friend, Robert Lewandowski. So obviously, it's important for Barca to make sure that they keep hold, at least from now to the end of the season, on your friend Robert Lewandowski. No, also he is not certain in terms of whether he wants to go next time or not, because he is so much settled over Barcelona. His family is okay, he is okay, his wife is okay, everybody is excited about the things that they are doing over there. No, Robert Lewandowski, he doesn't want to stress in terms of whether he is fit, is not fit. No. Say he doesn't want to do that. Of course, many clubs are interested in Robert Lewandowski, whose contract expires next summer. He goes on. Fenerbahce are willing to offer Robert Lewandowski an 18-month contract starting in January. So Fenerbahce can say Lewandowski can be movie every Fenerbahce on our bench friend Robert Lewandowski, they are willing to make sure they give him a contract there. So on 1 year they said that they are very, very much willing to come in to do the job which is very, very important. And then Barcelona player Andreas Christensen has been talking, or the Danish national team has been talking about Barcelona, talking about the former club Chelsea and why they have very, very good games. And I must say, Chelsea mean a lot to me. They are a big reason that I'm now at Barcelona. I won the Champions League there and very grateful. I still watch their games. It's part of who I am. Of course, you can tell our friend Andreas Christensen, a lifelong Chelsea fan. And they asked him about the possibility of staying at Barcelona. Say, in an ideal world, I would like to end my career at Brøndby, but it depends on my life stage and my family. I'm 29. Still, I feel I can compete, and I'll decide based on the situation and the performance. I say, Charlie, when things happen there on the career, and he'd want to go back to Nykrum, Denmark, to go and probably end it all behind him. Andreas Christensen said, I hope everything works out at Barca. I have no plan B, but I honestly don't know yet. I'm focused on playing and helping the team. My agent will handle the things when it's time. I think I said it several times. For me, I think that when you're looking at Hansi ball in itself, one of the players that fits the plan perfectly are Andreas Christensen. But I can also understand when people talk about the leadership or ability of a bench friend Ronald Araujo, when people talk about what Ronald Araujo brings in terms of the physicality and the combativeness, something that is not really the stock in trade of a bench your friend Andreas Christensen. You can understand that this is what people are arguing about. But I think the Barcelona can make good use of a friend Andreas Christensen, even more so than a your friend Ronald Araujo. Christensen, so my situation doesn't at Barcelona make it an easy. We are in a good place and nothing changes on my daily focus. Of course, you want to have everything under control, but it's not something I think about every day. That is exactly what Abrantia friend Andreas Christensen is talking about, and all in a Juma as football club or the national team or Denmark or something that is very, very important for Abrantia friend Andreas Christensen. It's important. Say very, very soon. Barca look like they are going to see the return of Abrantia, your friend Pablo Gavi. Pablo Gavi is going to return onto the training ground to come and be with football club Barcelona. I mean, Utimiya Gavi, Utimiya Pedri Barca. Maybe if you're able to get them at the right time of the season, these guys can make your midfield thick. I mean, a lot of physicality, a lot of combativeness, a lot of seriousness, a lot of technical ability. Something that will make Barcelona go on and then get a job done. This one I told you, say the Brazilian national team, a trainee, Arsenal for training gun in the colony, and then Abrantia friend Eduardo Camavinga, Real Madrid player, did not train for the French Lewy. Apparently, he had reported with a slight muscle fatigue and tightness. And the doctors or the Lewy asked him to sit aside, and they didn't let him train. Carlo Ancelotti, current Brazil manager and former Real Madrid manager, has been talking. He has been talking about his time at football club Real Madrid and why that was important. And he says very interesting stuff. I say, I'm happy at Everton. I was happy at Everton. Honestly, good atmosphere, good training ground, good people. But I couldn't say no to Real Madrid. That's exactly what Carlo Ancelotti said. He said, Charlie, time on nowhere Everton, no nenya Barca, Casa, nenya Barca. A year before rejoining, I had called Real Madrid to ask if they had players who could leave. I had signed James Rodriguez that year. I had called during the same period and I had asked if they found a good coach. They said no, and asked me who I would, and asked me, they said no, and asked me who would be good. I said, you have forgotten what we did in 2014. I could do this only for Real Madrid. Oh, no, Charlie. Oh, man, the way he like Madrid, he'll be serious. He likes Madrid even more than his days at Parma with the likes of Gianluigi Donnarumma, any AS Monaco money at the other. AC Milan money at the other. Carlo Ancelotti, I felt it was a good time to leave Madrid. It is obviously that Madrid will always be in my heart, but it was a great motivation to lead Brazil to the World Cup. The last time they won it in 2002, and this team is complete for sure, can compete for sure. So the plan is to take them to the World Cup in 2022. I mean, he's going to go there. They asked Carlo Ancelotti about being a Madridista, and of course, the story of Xabi Alonso. And I'll say, oh, I hope and wish Xabi all the best because I am a Madridista. I want to make sure that he succeeds. They asking the English media talk about Jude Bellingham's behavior off the pitch. He has a big ego. Carlo Ancelotti said, no, I've never had a problem with Jude. Very serious professional, great attitude, works hard in training, no complaints at all on a brand here friend Jude Bellingham, and that is what Carlo Ancelotti is talking about. Don't be saying, say, Charlie, I didn't see Gary Lineker concerns about Jude being in England because that's what we do. As concerns about Jude Bellingham in England because that's what we do. No question mark. Why are you putting question marks on Jude? He's fantastic. I compare him to Kaka. So talented, physically very strong. He did very well. He's doing very well. Had a problem with his shoulder. He was out for months. Now he's back. I'm the go on. Don't be saying about it. I didn't know no J trophy on any players nation. I was lucky to find a team without any egos. Modric, Casemiro, Cruz, Carvajal, Benzema. No any ego. When we then built good connection with the young guys like Vinicius, Valverde, Rodrigo, Camavinga. Club needed a lot by signing Bellingham, Gole, Endrick, all fantastic guys. So we were able to build a great connection in the two CLs in a club that supports you a lot. And that is exactly what Carlo Ancelotti has been talking about. He asked him also about Xabi Alonso. Says Xabi Alonso criticism, a draw at Madrid is a crisis. Madrid results have been spectacular so far. What more can you ask for? That is exactly what Carlo Ancelotti is talking about. Abrantia, a friend of Xabi Alonso in the club, Real Madrid in itself. And he goes on to talk about Dario Upamecano. Besides Charlie, it looks as if Dario Upamecano is moving to Madrid. Madrid have reached out to Dario Upamecano's agent to inform him about their interest. If he doesn't renew with Bayern, Madrid would want to go in. Madrid for are quick to make sure say they can get a new centre back to add to their core. They want centre backs. They want top players. They want very, very good players to come in and deliver. And one of them may have been your friend Dario Upamecano. And now, Pawi, Fabrizio Romano, he did confirm, Sir Brantia, your friend, Rodrigo goes. Chelsea for have not had a conversation with him. They did confirm the Chelsea for have not spoken to Rodrigo Goes. They've not contacted his agent. In fact, they have a lot of respect for him, but then there is no contact and they are not interested in Brantia, your friend Rodrigo Goes. And that is something that is going to be a very, very good one when it comes to Rodrigo Goes conversation. We'll see how things are going to be. Maybe Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, turn on notification, in the notification channel. Do choose all. Until then, bye-bye.